Hello, my name is Hazwani binti Ahmad Damanhuri and I am a PhD student in communication at UKM. This paper is part of LRGS project led by Associate Professor Dr. Emma Mirzawati Mohamad together with Dr. Arina Azlan. Today, I would like to present to all of you about high-risk community perceptions of Knowlesi Malaria to inform elimination efforts in Peninsular Malaysia. Malaria is a severe public health issue, threatening more than 40% of the world's population. It is more than 3.3 billion people. Knowlesi is the fifth species that can cause malaria in humans, and it is known as a zoonotic malaria parasite transmitted between non-human primate hosts by Anopheles mosquitoes, and it can cause spillover infections in humans where the parasite, vector, host, and human converge. Malaysia is one of the countries involved to achieve malaria-free status by 2020. Malaria-free status here refers to human indigenous malaria species. However, the resurgence of parasite Knowlesi remains a major public health problem, in particular in the states of Sabah and Sarawak, the island of Borneo, as well as the central interior regions in Peninsular Malaysia. The objectives of this study is to understand the perceptions and beliefs of high-risk community related to Knowlesi malaria and to explore the prevention behaviors and control that the high-risk community practice prior to the deployment of interventions. There are 17 in-depth interviews were conducted with people categorized as members of high-risk community in Gua Musang, Kelantan, Kuala Lipis, Pahang, and Kota Tinggi, Johor. These areas are exposed to Knowlesi malaria based on the high number of cases in 2019. A qualitative study examined community perceptions of Knowlesi malaria and its related concepts such as symptoms, causes, and controls in these areas. Purposive sampling was performed to achieve uniform representation of community groups, and 11 out of 17 informants had a history of Knowlesi malaria infection. The interviews were carried out between June and August 2019 with an adult 18 years old and above until saturation data was reached. The interviews were audio recorded, transcribed verbatim, and the analysis was done using Atlas T8 software. The analysis approach was mainly inductive with flexibility in identifying relevant themes. The result shows there are 3 identified groups in high-risk communities. Number 1, work. There are military groups in Kota Tinggi and plantation workers in Gua Musang. 2, hobbies are common among indigenous people in Gua Musang and local people in Kuala Lipis. Their hobbies are hunting and fishing. 3, residing are those who live nearby forests and exposed to monkeys, especially local people in Kuala Lipis. The findings show malaria is used to describe syndromes that may or may not overlap with the biomedical definition, especially for informants in Kelantan and Pahang. Their awareness of Knowlesi was low. Informants generally grouped Knowlesi with human malaria in the way they described the disease. They considered human malaria and Knowlesi to be the same. They lack of exposure to the terms Knowlesi. However, the perceived symptoms were noticeably high in all groups. Informants can identify fever, shivers, joint pain, headache, and vomiting as typical symptoms of P. knowlesi. Weakness, body pain, back pain, lack of appetite, shivering, and trembling were also mentioned. Informants identified mosquitoes as the main cause of malaria. However, they were unaware about the species of the mosquitoes that carry P. knowlesi, which is Anopheles. A few informants in military group mentioned that animals like monkeys played a role in malaria transmission, either as carriers of the disease or as enhancers of mosquito numbers. Malaria was viewed as caused by an agent that came from animals and transferred to humans through mosquito bites. However, malaria parasites were not mentioned explicitly as the causative agent of the disease. The findings describe that informants are more likely and prefer to use bed nets during sleep, aerosol spray, and mosquito coil to prevent them from mosquito bites, which in turn is believed to prevent them from being infected with P. knowlesi. The bed net that were described as insecticide-treated nets, or known as ITN, were given by the health district officer mostly to indigenous group in Kelantan, while local villagers in Pahang described the bed net as non-treated that were brought from the local markets. They also mentioned wearing long sleeves clothing to prevent mosquito bites, but complained about the heat during the day. Interestingly, lighting a bonfire was usually seen as a way of preventing mosquito bites among local people. All the military informants used prophylaxis to protect themselves in the forest. However, taking prophylaxis is mandatory, and there are side effects such as vomit and dizzy after taking them. They also mentioned they had difficulty sleeping at night, having mosquito bites if they don't use other precautions, such as using aerosol spray and mosquito coil. More research is needed to properly battle and eliminate P. knowlesi malaria in humans. The informants showed their lack of awareness and inadequate understanding of P. knowlesi in general, and several barriers to prevent the transmission might affect the overall strategy of P. knowlesi elimination in Peninsular Malaysia. Altogether, these findings suggest that P. knowlesi elimination in Peninsular Malaysia will strongly benefit from the health intervention program, while including information, education, and communication based on the local context. That's all from me. Thank you.